What if reality is not as fixed as we were taught to believe? What if the life you are experiencing right now is not simply the life you were assigned, but the reality you have learned to perceive, interpret, and respond to? In this series, we are going to challenge the idea that what is simply is. We are going to push back against the belief that this is just the life you get and there is nothing you can do about it. But we are not going to do that through denial. We are not going to pretend pain is not real, problems are not real, or circumstances do not matter. They do matter. Instead, we are going to explore something deeper: the relationship between reality, perception, thought, belief, and response. Because reality is not only something happening around you, reality is also something being processed within you. Every day, you respond to images, thoughts, emotions, memories, expectations, fears, hopes, and beliefs. These things influence how you see the world, how you see yourself, and what you believe is possible for your life. Some people call this mindset, some call it faith, some call it consciousness, some call it purpose, some call it perception. But whatever word you use, the truth remains. The way you interpret reality has a powerful effect on the life you experience. But before we can even begin to affect change in our reality, we must first understand what reality is. What is reality? How does it function? How does it behave? How does it form in the mind? How does it influence the body, the emotions, the choices we make, and the future we expect? Because you cannot navigate what you do not understand. You cannot pilot through a world you have never studied. You cannot change your direction if you do not understand the road, the vehicle, the signals, or the forces working around you. So before we talk about changing reality, we must first learn how reality works. We must understand how light becomes sight, how sight becomes image, how image becomes interpretation, how interpretation becomes belief, how belief becomes behavior, and how behavior begins to shape the life we experience. That is where the journey begins. For centuries, people have wrestled with the question, is life fixed or can it be changed? Solomon looked at life and saw how temporary, frustrating, and uncertain it could be. He called much of it vanity, a chasing after the wind. But later, Paul offered another view, saying that if this life is all there is, then we are most miserable. Accepting those thoughts causes a powerful tension. On one side, life will feel set and limited. On the other side, something within us still longs for more. More meaning, more wonder, more joy, more freedom, more possibility. This series is not about escaping reality, it is about understanding reality. Because once you understand how reality is experienced, you can begin to understand how reality can be influenced. If happiness exists within the human experience, then happiness is possible for you. If peace exists within the human experience, then peace is possible for you. If healing, growth, wisdom, purpose, creativity, and abundance exist within reality, then they are not outside the boundaries of human life. And if they are not outside the boundaries of human life, then they are not perpetually outside the boundaries of your life. In this series, we will explore light, thought, perception, belief, imagination, faith, and human potential. We will look at how the mind interprets the world, how belief shapes behavior, and how inner vision can influence outer experience. We will begin with light because light is one of the first ways reality reaches us. We do not truly see with our eyes collect light. The brain receives that light, interprets it, and turns it into what we experience as sight. In other words, your eyes collect the evidence, but your brain creates the image. And once the brain creates the image, the mind begins to assign meaning. That meaning becomes your experience. That experience becomes your belief. That belief influences your response, and your response helps shape your reality. So before we can master our response to life, we must first understand how reality is being presented to us. Before we can change what we believe, we must understand how belief is formed. Before we can reshape reality, we must understand what reality is, how it functions, and how it behaves. Only then can we begin to navigate it. Only then can we begin to pilot through it with awareness, intention, and purpose. Whether you come from a religious background, a spiritual background, or no religious background at all, this conversation is for anyone who has ever wondered, Can my life become more than what it is right now? And the answer we will explore together is this: yes. Not by pretending life is easy, not by ignoring pain, not by denying facts, not by escaping reality, but by learning how to see differently, think differently, believe differently, respond differently, and live more consciously within the reality you are experiencing. Because your reality is not only what happens outside of you, it is also what is interpreted within you. And once you understand that, you can begin the deeper work of changing not just what you see, but how you see. Reality may comply with physics and natural law, but the reality we live in is shaped by the mind. It is created through perception, filtered through belief, and experienced as truth. Let's begin